お前は強い。竹道、本当に大切なことは喧嘩に勝つことじゃねえ。お前は弱えのに誰にも屈しない。自分に負けないことだ。俺を叱ってくれ、竹道。兄貴のように。もちろんです。
Last time on Tokyo Revengers, the great leader of Taman, Mikey, defeated Taiju and the Black Dragons. Coming face to face with his girlfriend Hinata, Takemichi is stunned. As Takemichi gazes at Hinata standing before him, he can't help but feel a sense of confusion and unease. He turns to Manjiro, hoping to gain some clarity, but to no avail. The lack of information leaves Takemichi feeling stranded in the moment, unsure of what to do next. As his mind races, he realizes that he's left Hinata without any explanation for his abrupt departure. The guilt weighs heavily on his mind, adding to the already tense situation. Suddenly, Hinata breaks the silence, questioning Takemichi about his involvement in yet another fight. Earlier, Hinata confronted her father Masato about his disapproval of Takemichi. However, Masato apologized for his behavior and clarified that his intentions were for Hinata's happiness. Hinata, in turn, asked her father why he fell for her mother, highlighting that it was not her physical appearance, but her character that captivated him. Hinata believed that Takemichi possessed similar admirable qualities, despite being labeled a hoodlum. After their discussion, Hinata left and found solace in a shrine where she met Emma, who shared her tradition of visiting the sacred place annually. Emma was curious about Hinata's reasons for praying, and Hinata confided in her about her situation with Takemichi. Despite the challenge of locating Takemichi, Emma urged Ken and Manjiro to find him and bring him to Hinata's condo. However, Hinata was hesitant to see Takemichi as she feared that her emotions would overwhelm her. After Hinata confronted Takemichi about getting into another fight, he fell silent for a moment, then burst into tears and apologized. He understood that his actions had put her in danger, and he couldn't bear the thought of her getting hurt because of him. With tears streaming down his face, Takemichi vowed to rescue her and protect her, even if it meant risking his own life. Hinata was confused by his outburst, but Takemichi pleaded with her to forget that they had broken up. In a surprising turn, Hinata then asked Takemichi to take her to the shrine on New Year's, stating that they had made up. This caused Takemichi to cry even harder. Ken, who had been watching the scene unfold, couldn't help but comment on Takemichi's weaknesses with women and fighting, but also noted that he was dependable when it counted. Manjiro agreed and offered Takemichi a ride. Meanwhile, Masato and Ryoko observed from the balcony. Ryoko warned Masato that he had lost his chance with Hinata and that she would shut him out if he interfered again. While riding with Manjiro, Takemichi inquires about his family background. Manjiro reveals that he lives with Emma and his grandfather since his mother disappeared when he was younger. Manjiro and Emma used to live separately, but after Emma's mother abandoned her, she came to live with Manjiro's family. However, Manjiro's elder brother was like a father to them, and they always looked up to him. Without him, Manjiro feels lost sometimes, as his mind goes blank, making him lose his way in the world. Takemichi realizes that Manjiro needs help, and Manjiro explains that his brother was a leader of a biker gang. Despite being a weak fighter, he inspired his followers, and they felt they could not lose with him by their side. Manjiro admits that he is weak, but Takemichi is tough and doesn't give in to anyone. Winning fights is not important, but not losing to oneself is crucial. Manjiro requests Takemichi to keep him on track, just like his elder brother did, and Takemichi agrees, tearing up. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is the character you sympathize the most with? Why? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. Ken and Takashi were riding together when Takashi brought up the possibility of The Thing being announced at their first meeting next year. Ken confirms this, but Takashi worries about the potential discontent it may cause. However, Ken is unfazed and declares that they will fight as the twin dragons of Taman if needed. The idea of being twin dragons brings up memories for Ken, and he suggests they visit the place. Takashi agrees but thinks the place should have been cleaned by now. Much to his surprise, the graffiti is still there and Takashi reminisces about drawing a dragon on the wall when he was young. But then, he notices young Ken observing him the entire time. Ken, who was eating at the time, offers Takashi some food, and Takashi's stomach growls in response. Ken laughs and invites him to sit and eat with him. They introduce themselves, and Ken notices that Takashi ate all the food. Takashi explains he hasn't eaten all day. Ken stands up and claims the dragon graffiti as his own, but in exchange for his food. Ken surprised Takashi by inviting him over to his place, where they met a group of women who kept asking Ken to do things for them. However, Ken politely declined and promised to do them later. One of the women challenged Ken to play poker, and Takashi ended up easily beating them, earning the nickname Joker. Ken revealed that they were gambling for money, and Takashi wondered if Ken always spends his money like this. Ken confirmed that losing meant giving a free massage, which he was good at, but it left his hands numb the next day. Takashi then shared that he wanted to live with Ken since he had to take care of his siblings at home. However, one of the women kicked him out, reminding him that this was just for fun. Glancing at the clock, Takashi also realized that his mother was never home, leaving him to take care of his sisters after school. As Takashi and Ken bid farewell, Ken offers a sincere apology, but quickly clarifies that the woman's presence wasn't their choice. Curious about Takashi's culinary preferences, Ken inquires if he enjoys his mother's cooking. To his surprise, Takashi admits that it's not his favorite and boasts about his own cooking skills. Ken can't help but express his admiration and envy towards Takashi's talent in the kitchen. As the conversation unfolds, Ken reveals his own vulnerable side, confessing that he has no parents and wishes he could experience the joy of cooking for them like Takashi does. Despite his tough exterior, Ken's concern for his sisters shines through, urging Takashi to head back home. It's evident that Ken is not cut out for the criminal lifestyle and possesses a kind heart. Takashi couldn't help but feel seen and understood by Ken's words. After a while, Takashi finally locates Ken and shares with him a heartfelt confession. He dreams of being just as tough and loyal as Ken, a hoodlum who would do anything for his loved ones. As they catch up, both of them are taken aback to realize they sport the exact same haircut and have even gone so far as to tattoo the infamous graffiti dragon on their heads. Ken responds with a grin, advising Takashi to grow out his hair as he hands him some food for their mythical dragon emblem. On New Year's Day, Takemichi and Hinata head to the shrine to offer their prayers. As fate would have it, they bump into Takashi and his sisters, along with Hakai and Yuzua. Upon meeting Takashi's sisters, Takemichi receives an unwelcoming response and is called Dorkface. In contrast, the sisters shower Hinata with compliments and request to hold her hand. This leaves Takashi feeling annoyed and frustrated that they had stolen Hinata's attention away from him. However, the group's dynamics start to shift as the conversation continues. Hakai observes how Yuzua looks at Takashi and comments on how it's no surprise that she likes him since he was quite the badass on that particular night. Yuzua blushes at the remark and reveals that Taiju had left a few days ago, saying he wanted to raise Hakai to be strong as he was annoyed at his weakness. Taiju couldn't change Hakai, but Takemichi did it. Taiju felt that he was no longer needed in the house and was leaving, but he admitted that violence wasn't everything. Hakai is taken aback by Taiju's confession, and Yuzua interjects to say that Takemichi managed to change both Hakai and Taiju, which makes him special in her eyes. As the conversation continues, Hakai suddenly realizes that Yuzua isn't interested in Takashi. Instead, she has a crush on Takemichi. Yuzua tries to play it cool and tells Hakai to be quiet, mentioning that Takemichi has Hinata, so it's just a one-sided crush. Hinata's eyes fixate on the Emma, a wooden plate used for writing wishes, and she nudges Takemichi to buy one. With excitement, Takemichi scribbles his wish on the plate, but Hinata can't help but wonder what he wrote. Takemichi quietly refuses to show her, explaining that it won't come true if he reveals it. However, Takashi and Hakai's curiosity get the better of them, and they relentlessly ask to see the Emma. Despite Takemichi's stubbornness, Hakai manages to snatch it away. In a panic, Takemichi tries to retrieve it, but it ends up in the hands of Manjiro, who notices Takemichi's desperation. As the group starts to count down to the new year, Manjiro suggests they all jump and make a wish. With a burst of excitement, they all jump in unison. Manjiro flings the Emma in the air, revealing Takemichi's heartfelt desire to become a hero who can save everyone. Meanwhile, Shuji expresses his amazement that Takemichi managed to pull it off, but Teta warns that this won't be the end. What is Teta planning? What will happen next? Find out on our next recap of Tokyo Revengers Season 2.